Now that Anthony Edwards' season has come to an end, there's going to be a lot of chatter that is similar to what I'm about to say, I believe. But I've got receipts. About a year ago, almost to the day, it was June 3rd, 2024, I did a podcast on my daily audio log called Dot Today that was titled The Ant Conversation, or An Ant Conversation. And the premise there was a lot of talk in those few months leading up to the playoffs and at the beginning of the playoffs last year until he went up against Luka, basically, about how Edwards was the next Jordan, God forbid, or Kobe. There was a lot of using those type of names, which I, at the time, found, and still do, find blasphemous. I know this game, and there was... I understand he's an athletic two guard and very good at a very young age. Like, this is not a slight of Ant. It was just back then me saying that the idea of comparing this guy or evoking the names Jordan and Bryant was just completely misguided and wrong. And I also added within that same podcast that, everyone was crowning him as the next face of the league, the next guy, the next super duper star. And then I would, that night, turn on the Western Conference playoffs after watching Ant, would go watch OKC, and I said on that very podcast a year ago, Ant's not even the best guard in the West playing tonight because SGA was there. And SGA, in my opinion, was better a year ago. Now he just won an MVP and his team is advancing, and everyone's going to say, the same, I would assume. But the other thing that I brought up then, and still reigns true, even though he's only 23 years old, and he might be the first Ant Edwards, but I don't see Kobe and Jordan when I look at him on the court. I see more a Derrick Rose, Dwayne Wade, strong, aggressive guard, but not with the skill set of a Kobe or a Michael. And then this other point, which I was, about to say, which I made then, and I'm going to make again now. He was 22 back then when I brought this up and everyone was saying how he's the guy. At the age of 22, if you're that guy, and there are very few of them, we can all name them, right? There's 10, 15, 20 guys in the history of the league that are those guys. And he was, he being compared to two of the top 10, if not 5, in Kobe and Michael. The main difference that I see is when those guys come along at the age of 22, 21, 20, he entered the league, Edwards, everyone knows that that's the guy. And that's going to be the guy. Not just like maybe ceiling, like Edwards' ceiling might be better than SGA's. I would grant that. But like I said, I've watched basketball for a long time. I know this game pretty well. And I never looked at Edwards, and still haven't, and said, that's the next guy, Kobe, Jordan. Like, are you crazy? Pipe down. I know we all want to have this young, American, exciting guy because Kobe and Jordan and LeBron, the guys that are the guys when they're 18, 19, 20 years old, they're special, and we want them in our lives. And I know it would be nice to see another one come along. But so far, 4 or 5 years now into his career, we'd all know by now. So let him be the first Ant. Let him be awesome. Let him keep growing. And maybe he'll be one of the top 30, 40 players of all time. I think that's in his range of outcomes for sure. But we just needed to pipe down then, and we need to pipe down now. SGA is better today, and Kobe and Jordan, he's not touching that.